Going live in 1 minute. I'll send over the link if you need it again, buddy. I shared the link on my page too. If you need it, I'll send it back to you.
Warning: this podcast.
All right, welcome. My name is Jimmy. I
I'm Dustin.
got Baker with me tonight. Sorry about that, Mr. Baker. Basically, what we're going to do tonight is we're going to kind of go over The Walking Dead in general, kind of go along the whole storylines. Big announcements this week. They have going to go start shutting stuff down, Mr. Baker. How do you feel about that?
Man, I don't know. My therapist told me that they're going to have to get their own therapist after I've called them so many times after the announcement. But, those of you, let me go ahead and say spoiler alert, because, some people may live under a rock and not know what's going on here. But basically, the Walking Dead, it's been announced that they're ending the show, the original, after all this time. And it's hit a lot of us. It's in the community it's been very devastating to us because, like we've talked about in other podcasts, we've gained a lot of family, friends, because of this show. It's changed a lot of people's lives. And basically, how I feel about it, I don't feel really good at all about it. It's very saddening. It's very heartbreaking. I think that there's a positive out there for whatever spinoff that could happen. It's very sad. I don't know exactly what the producers are thinking. I'm not sure exactly what direction they're trying to go. But I just don't think I don't think now's a good time to end it. I don't think you can do it in 22 episodes. Or 24, whatever it is. I could be wrong, but give me some feedback on it, Jimmy. What's your thoughts?
The initial thing I heard when I heard they were shutting down was, I don't know. It's part of me. It's part of who I am. I don't know a lot of people know who I am at all, but I've been doing tours since 2012 with The Walking Dead. I took 2 years off to going through some personal things. The show is part of me. I might not act like it at all, but it's truly the end of an era. I think back in a lot of these people that I've hung out with, I can actually call my friends now. It kind of hurts me on the inside. I'm not gonna lie about it. Sometimes I make fun of Baker because of it. I think it's funny as hell. But in the end, it hurts me just as much as it does him. And I don't want anybody to feel upset. Remember, they are ongoing. Just because the original dies, don't mean you don't have the other 3 or 4 or how many ever they're going to make. I don't know if they're going to film anything down here. I kind of hope they do. Because Melissa lives down here full time. Melissa McBride plays Carol. I just hope that, whatever they do, we kind of grow and stay a part of each other's family and move on. How I truly feel about it, I'm kind of devastated. It's hard. I started out on this journey and I had a lot of friends. A lot of friends have passed away, but it's part of my life. Now, I don't know if I'm ready to see that go or not.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. It's going to be very challenging because it's been an escape. Like you said, I take it serious. It's been my home away from home. It's when the real world struggles got too bad, I could escape and come down to Georgia and watch filming and meet the cast. Now I've had the fortunate privilege, to be security and bodyguard with the cast and grow with them. And it's going to be a big change. because it's something that, in my world, kept me motivated. Motivated to, I don't want to say motivated to live, but it kind of kept me motivated, distracted from things that was going on personally, medically. And it basically it gave me a purpose when I felt like I didn't have a purpose at all times. It's been a very fortunate opportunity. I'm like you. I hope that where Melissa McBride does live in Georgia, and I know that Norman loves Georgia. Um, I hope that they continue to do that. I'm hearing maybe Mexico for some reason, because that's where they talked about going one episode. It's too hot, Norman. Do not go to Mexico. You're not going to like it. You wear the poncho and all, but don't go to Mexico. But in all seriousness, we would love to hear from you guys. We would love to hear your thoughts. And, going back to what you said a second ago, making fun of me, I guess it's okay to tell this story. I've never really been one to be a big drinker at all. But this one particular time that Jimmy did make fun of me, we were at his house, and I think that's when we got the announcement that Rick was leaving, or not going to continue to be on the show. And do you remember what I did in that moment? Because I had brought a very nice gift down for someone, and it was a very nice, expensive bottle of alcohol, kind of a thanks and gratuity to somebody. And Jimmy will probably tell that funnier than I will.
Well, Baker has, we call them Dustin fits. He kind of ran off with that bottle, and he come back all clumsy and
podcast.
Do what?
So I want to know who we is. Okay, go on.
It's okay, me and Chris. It's okay though. We love you. But truth about it was, I didn't think it hit Baker that hard till that day. He kind of drunk a little bit, and he got a little, little tipsy. But he's kind of a funny drunk, so it's okay.
Yeah,
but
like seriously, like I don't drink at all, guys. I had this bottle of, I don't know, $70, $75, wasn't it, Jimmy, of alcohol for somebody as a gift. It never made it to them, not because I drunk it all, but because I popped the top. You can't give a used bottle of alcohol to anybody. I popped it. Jimmy's outside. He comes in. He's like, Baker, how you doing? And he looks at me, and I got the bottle, and I'm just like, I'm fine, Jimmy. I'm fine. So you're lucky I'm on the podcast tonight. You're lucky I don't have anything but my water. I don't have any alcohol, but I probably need it. But no, it is though. Seriously, it's going to be a devastating change for those of us that feel a part of it. And I would encourage you guys. Listen, I don't know. I don't know what Norman's going to do, Melissa's going to do, where they're going to film, but I encourage you that while it's here in Georgia, while it's going on, take time to come down and take in what you can, so that you can have the feeling, like Jimmy and I do, and all the friends that we have. Take in as much of it as you can, because we took it for granted in some ways, not ever thinking we would ever hear this. We've enjoyed it, but now when you hear it, it's kind of like, wow, it really might come to an end. So come down and go take your tours. The guys, there's a new tour that's just opened up here with good friends of ours, Cindy Sumner, Stephen Sweet, and Colin. It's called the Water Tower Tours, isn't it, Jimmy? Is that right? Those guys are doing an excellent job. They're, doing nice walking tours, through town and working on some other things. You've got all kinds of great locations. You've got a huge event coming up here in October, 22nd, 23rd, with the camp. Oscar Rodriguez puts that on. He's been on the show as a walker and as a whisperer, and he does a phenomenal job. So guys, there's still a lot of opportunity out here, but come get it while you can, because I have a feeling here 24 episodes from now, we're going to be on this podcast, of course, still talking about it, but it's going to be a lot more devastating. So take advantage of what you can while it's here.
Not only that, I think, I think if you come down, you don't even have to take tours. I'm a tour guide. I always say take tours. A lot of fun. But just enjoy what you see, because, like Dustin said, it's not going to be existing anymore. And at least as we know it. So I don't know if they're going to have Andrew Lincoln come back. I have no idea, but I hope so. I really do. I hope so.
I would love, I would love that. Nothing would make me happier. And I think, some folks are like, gosh, you've got inside info and blah blah. Jimmy always has inside info. You hear things you don't know, but I mean, there's speculation and talk that you know Andy Lincoln may come back. That's don't know how credible it is. I would love to hear some of you guys chime in and talk about it. Maybe some of you that live there, maybe have heard some things. I don't know, but and Norman will Norman will mess with your head. Okay, Norman has posted a picture of him holding Andy's hand behind you. Have you saw it? You know what I'm talking about already? The little link that he had. We're gonna have to get that up there. There was a photo from Entertainment Weekly right after Norman announced he was coming back to Georgia. Georgia, I'm on my way on his Instagram. He posted a photo when he was talking about the end of the show. The very next thing he did was he posted that photo from Entertainment Weekly where him and Rick and Carol were standing there, and he was holding, Andy Rick's hand behind Carol's back, kind of almost like as a homage of, hey, maybe we're back together here. Maybe this is going to happen and end this way. You guys got to think. I mean, Andy Lincoln, ultimately decided to, postpone filming here and do the movies because he wanted to spend time with his kids. And COVID's given him that opportunity. I mean, he's been locked up, with his family. So hopefully that could happen. But yeah, I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, I'll be running like hell. I mean, getting the hell out of that house. I've been with the kids too long.
Yeah.
That's kidding. But all honesty, if you want to call us tonight and you want to let us know how the show, what it means to you and your point of views about everything, we'd love to hear it. Like we say, we're a family, and it's okay. I know. For me, I know. My son was in elementary school when this show started, and it's going to end when he graduates. Let that sink in. How long it's been a part of our lives? Like half of my son's life. Hell, most of it, and that's crazy. So, yeah, it's ridiculous how long we've been a part of this. So I mean, we love Sonoya. Speaking about the tour, basically, how Atlanta movie tours shut down. So all their tour guides actually got together and made their own company. That's the Water Tower Tour. So in essence, what you're doing is taking the Atlanta movie tours without the bus. That's all you're doing.
Yeah, those guys, they did a phenomenal job, and I'd like to go ahead, if it's okay, and thank them for what they did for the Walking Dead community. The owners are personal friends of mine, and some of the greatest people you'd ever meet, and they did a phenomenal job. And they not only cared about you because you were a client. When you got off that bus, and I had numerous people tell me this. I've got the privilege to work security on a couple of things with them, and when you got off the bus, you felt like family. And it's sad to see that go. But listen, guys, thank you, so much for what you did for the community. Thank you for what you did for the fans. Thank you for caring. So many folks just said, "Hey, I felt a part of it. I was there." Unfortunately, I did not get the privilege to take a tour. I was always down there working or doing something else. But thank you so much for doing what you did as long as you did.
Thank you, Frankie. I appreciate it. Nice to see you watching us tonight.
Yeah, I still haven't found my notifications so I can talk to people.
Like I told you, I just bring it up on my phone, buddy. That's all I do.
I'm gonna try it here. Okay?
It helps. Just turn your volume all the way down, and it'll help. That way you keep up with everybody. Frankie, if you want to call in, the number is 404-276-4670. You want to talk about anything? Tell us what the show meant to you over time and why you still love it to this day. So I'm gonna let everybody hear a story about how I met Dustin. So I actually got invited up to the Woodbury shop one day, and Carrie was running it, and she said, "We put some new stuff downstairs in the museum if you want to see it." I did help them kind of come up with some ideas of what to put down there. So I was like, all right, awesome, let's go see. So I walked down there, and when I was down there, Carrie said, I want you to meet this young man. And I said, okay, that's fine. What's his name? She goes, I think his name's Dustin, but I'll go see. I said, all right, no big deal. So Dustin come down there, and he was just.
You caught me off guard. I was on the phone. I know what you're doing to me. Go ahead. It's all right. It's all love.
It's all right. So Dustin come down there, and he gave me the spiel on what was going on with him, and I was like, well, geez, man, this guy wants to see some stuff. Why don't I just take him on a tour? So I ended up taking him to Grantville with me and showed him some stuff, and he's still around to this day. I see him all the time. I love him. Couldn't get rid of him to save my life, but he's still here.
You're still not going to get rid of me even if it ends, because we're going to dress up. We're going to go reenact every scene. That's what we're going to do.
You can be officer friendly, I guess.
I will gladly. But I mean, do you want me to? You've asked me to do this for a couple of weeks. I guess now's probably as good as time as ever. I won't be long-winded with it. Do you want me to elaborate a little bit, since we're kind of talking about the show's ending? And I didn't mean to interrupt you or anything there, but
no, you're good. I want you, if you want to tell us why you started coming down here. And I don't know if some of the people listening are aware. When this show started, we started having influxes of. I'm from Sonoya and Noonan, okay. So I started having influx of fans coming down to see stuff. And Jim Sales actually contacted me and said, "Do you want to do tours?" And I said, "Yeah, that'd be cool, man. It'd give me something to do when I'm off." And before I knew it, it turned into a full-time job, and I started meeting people, and that's where Baker, he was one of the fans that come down. Go ahead, Mr. Baker.
All right. So, and I promise I'll apologize up front if I get long-winded. I'm going to try not and do that. But, I think now is as good a time as ever. Jimmy's asked me to do this for a little bit. We've talked about it. But, a lot of you guys that know me here later on that have met me recently, we've had the privilege to work security for the cast and, do private things for them and basically be concierges, bodyguards, whatever you want to call it. But, I started as a fan. And I started as a fan because, and we talked on one of the podcasts earlier how, I've always liked zombies and everything like that. But what's unique to me about this show, and, we just mentioned what it's going to do to affect us when it ends, but how it's going to affect me is right when season 2 started, I had an incident on Valentine's night. I was walking through my house. I was on the phone talking with my mother, and I passed out at random. She actually lives across from me. She heard me fall. She thought I tripped or something. So she comes over to check on me because I didn't answer the phone for a few minutes. Later on that next day, I decided to go ahead and go to the emergency room, and they start checking me out. And basically, after they admitted me, I'm laying in the hospital, and I'm kind of going in and out. And basically, I've woken up, and on the TV happens to be reruns of The Walking Dead. And right as I woke up, Rick's waking up in the hospital, and I'm in the hospital, and I'm kind of like coming to it. I'm like, well, what is this? But I was diagnosed at that time with a very rare brain condition that basically, causes my spinal cord to produce too much spinal fluid and causes swelling. It basically, fortunately, it can lead to a lot of bad things. I mean, vision loss, seizures. It can lead to all kinds of stuff. But basically, at that time, the doctors were like, hey, you need to consider having this surgery done, but we've only been diagnosing this for 25 years. And the surgery was something, guys, I don't even want to get into the details. It was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And he's like, the doctor said, do you have a hobby? Is there anything you can do to take stress out of your life? Because I've always been a hard worker. I've never had one job. I've always had multiple jobs. And those of you that know me, I would burn the candle at both ends per se. But basically, at random, I kind of said, well, I don't really have a hobby per se, but I do like that Walking Dead show. And it is kind of cool. I woke up in the hospital and maybe that's something symbolic. And, maybe I want to go see where that's filmed at because I'd heard it was filmed in Atlanta. There was an article I'd read. And that is actually the trip that I've met Jimmy. And basically, at that time, when the doctors were talking to me, and you know how doctors can be, they throw out a lot of stuff. But, I'd even been told I had 6 months to live. Um, and, it was scary. It was a scary time. And so I wanted to do something fun. And I didn't really know what relaxing was. I mean, I worked for fun. That's what I did. So started going down to Georgia. And, next thing I know, I meet Jimmy. Jimmy did a great job on my tour, by the way. And I felt really really good about that trip, and I missed it after being there the first day. And basically, right after that, um, I wanted to go back, and I had a desire to go back right after I got home, and it gave me a purpose. And I'll have to pause right there because I just saw we got a phone call.
How you doing, caller?
Take it in.
Hello? You're on the phone? Anybody there? Okay, guys, I guess we lost our caller.
I promise I cut it short right there.
All right, continue with your story. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. So anyway, I had this on my mind that, gosh, am I going to die in 6 months? What's going to happen here? So I started finding Georgia as my place of peace. And I started going there, and I was like, I've got to get in as much of this as I can. And then, Jimmy told me that they film and you can meet people. And I'm like, really? I didn't even know that was an option. I was just going to see, the old locations and stuff. And it became something. The next thing you know, 6 months goes by, and I'm still here. Okay. And so then I go back more. And it seems like that every time I went to Georgia, I didn't have this on my mind. It's like once I got there, or once I even started packing at home, it was like, things.
Hello?
Oh,
hold on one second. I think we got a phone call. Hello? Hello?
Says Mr. Anthony's on the phone.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, Mr. Anthony, barely. You there?
How about now? Yeah.
Oh, you're perfect, buddy. Perfect. How are you tonight?
Good. How are you guys doing? I just saw you guys were on the podcast. I figured I'd have a little bit of a discussion about The Walking Dead. I just started looking into you guys, and so far I'm liking what you guys talk about.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
We saw that. Thank you so much, man. We appreciate the call in. We really do. What's on your mind?
Yeah, no problem, man. And I got to say, that's pretty awesome, like how you guys got into the show like that.
Cool, man. Cool.
How long have you been a fan?
So here's actually a crazy thing. So I actually watched the pilot episode on Halloween night, and I remember I was a freshman in high school at the time. And like the first episode, it was like whatever for me. Like I wasn't really like it didn't really catch me at first. So the crazy thing is that maybe like 4 or 5 years later, I was a huge Breaking Bad fan, and one of my friends at the time, he was a Walking Dead fan, and it was about season 4. Season 5 was just about to come out, and I told him he should watch Breaking Bad, and he made a deal with me that if I watched The Walking Dead, he would watch Breaking Bad. So I was like, okay, I'll give Walking Dead another shot because like the first 4 seasons are on Netflix, and then season 5 will be coming out soon. And after like the first season, I was like, all right, I literally got caught up within like the first 3 weeks after he told me, and then I just been hooked ever since. And then I found out about the Walker Stalker conventions. I'm sure everyone knows the whole drama with that stuff, but I found out that was local in my area in Philadelphia, and then ever since I've kind of just been in the loop with it all.
Oh, awesome.
Met a lot of great friends, and met most of the cast too, actually.
Awesome.
That is awesome. Have you ever? I know you said that. I think you said you lived in Philadelphia, and that's where you got to go to one of the conventions. And
yes, the Walker Stalker Con in Philly. I did the 2015. I went there in 2016, and I went there in 2017, and then they stopped doing it in Philly. And then I went to the Atlanta in 2018 and Chicago in 2017, I believe it was. But
Okay.
and then obviously after that, that's when like Walker Stalker started to get to be very shady and stuff like that, and I backed out after that. Luckily, I am not one of those people that are owed money.
Gotcha. You know, so many of them are. So let me ask you this real quick. So, and I'm so thankful that you called in because you're like the perfect call in for so many things that we've talked about. You know, tell a little bit. You mentioned about the friends that you made in the family, and that's something Jimmy and I try to emphasize during the podcast. And you know, I've had people in my hometown be like, "Do you really feel like these folks you go to a convention with are family?" And da da da. You know, did you? And, you know, you'd mentioned that. Tell me a little bit about your experiences and just some of the camaraderie, and try to explain to people from an outside view in, you know, what this has meant to people, and you know what it's done for you, and some of the relationships you built.
So that's actually a very good thing to talk about. So what I'll tell you is this, that when I first went to the Walker Stalker convention in 2016, I just went as like a typical, like, you know, just like a normal fan. It was just like a weekend experience. And then I just went in one year, out the other, met a couple of people there, but just made small talk. But, you know, just the first time I ever went to like an actual convention. And then after that, when I went to the one in Chicago, I ended up going platinum that year because I was like, oh, Jeffrey Dean Morgan's going to be there, and who else is going to be there? Lauren Cohan, and like a bunch of some of the like more popular actors that I had interest in meeting. I knew that we're going to be there, and I decided to go platinum, and that's where things really took a whole different level for me when it comes to experience a convention. And you know, like, and I know that conventions are really like up there for like when it comes to cost and stuff, and they're not for everyone. Can't say I 100% agree on some of the prices they charge, but I understand like time equals money for the cast. I get that. But I ended up meeting I got close with a lot of the people that I was platinum with, and then I ended up getting in frequent contact. And then when it came down to going to Atlanta in 2018 was my last Walker Stalker I went to. Met Melissa McBride, all them. I got to reunite with the people I was platinum with in the past in Chicago. And then even to this day, I'm still in contact with people, like new people that I met in Atlanta in 2018. And, you know, we still talk about the show, like whenever we're watching it and stuff like that, or what our thoughts of the episode. And believe it or not, one of the people I actually met, I'm very thankful for. His name is Robert Bernardo. He's a really, really fantastic, loving, caring guy that I met at Walker Stalker. Great friend. I see him at least once a year now, and we talk on a regular basis. And he actually invited me because with the Walking Dead reward points, he was able to score 2 tickets to Talking Dead back in October of last year. And he actually invited me to go out with him and be in the audience, which was a really awesome experience.
Yeah, that is. And yeah, Robert, I have never had the privilege to meet him in person. I know so many people that know him personally. Absolutely love him. He's a fantastic person. Hopefully one day I'll get that opportunity, but I'm glad you made a special friend like that. Yeah, that's awesome. I am jealous, though. I'm holding him to Talking Dead tickets now. So when you do meet me in person, you know, you wish me a happy birthday on Facebook and all that, but, you know, you Talking Dead tickets, I mean, that's, hey.
I think that's the only thing we haven't done, Baker. That's the only thing. I think Ren Johnson done it. We never done it.
Yeah, Ren.
I'm actually kind of jealous of you, man. I'm not gonna lie.
We're gonna have to get this over to Chris Hardy.
Well, I'll be honest. It was a really cool experience to be on the Talking Dead. I'll say. The one thing that I will say, if they ever do this Talking Dead thing again, is that basically they have it as like general admission or the VIP tickets. I'm sure you saw on the rewards website. The main difference is like the general admission, you go in at like a normal time, but they obviously confiscate your cell phones and you get them back at the end of the show, which is normal, I guess, because you're on live TV. And you get to ask a question, and whoever the producer thinks that has the best question, they'll elect you to be on the actual show and like ask Chris Hardwick or the cast the question. And if you have the VIP, like you get let in at least like an hour and a half prior. You get to watch the episode in like a lounge that's commercial free, and you get like drinks, beverages, all that stuff. Obviously non-alcoholic. But the main downer is that you do not get the opportunity to ask a question or like possibly get onto the air, like on the show itself. But you do get to keep your cell phone, and you can take pictures during the breaks and seeing like how they like put makeup on everyone or like style up them during the commercial break. So it has its ups and downs pretty much.
Okay.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, you're making me more jealous. I think Jimmy, we got to work on that. I think we need to. I think we got to be on the Talking Dead, and So who Anthony? Who's your favorite? Who's your favorite Walking Dead actor or actress that you've met?
Geez, I mean, they're all good in their own way, I would say, and that's really kind of a hard question to answer.
It is.
I mean,
it is.
So I would basically have to say this. Like the one, let me just say that the most memorable one was definitely Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and I would probably have to say Norman Reedus. I mean, I know that they're usually the top two up there that every fan usually talks about, but those two are like really, really down to earth. I mean, Jeff loved like meet and interact with all the fans. Like Norman, the same exact way himself. Like Jeff, for example, Jeff spent an extra 4 or 5 minutes with me talking about like animals and stuff like that because he's, as you know, he has a farm up in New York and all that stuff. But the only one that I have not really had the privilege to meet was Andy himself. So I can't speak on behalf of Andy. I was really looking forward to meeting him in Atlanta in 2018. But of course, because the only time I was able to get a gold or a platinum ticket where you were guaranteed to meet him, he was not able to make it that year. And I was like, of course. But from what I've heard, he's a really awesome guy, and I would hope to one day meet Andy because Rick is definitely up there as one of my favorite characters, for sure.
Yeah, Andy's a really, really sweet guy, man. I've met him a lot over the years, and he really is. He's always a class act. He's just like Norman in every way. Yeah, he's pretty cool, man.
He's
Yeah, I just wish he did more conventions, though. I mean, I understand he's a private person and stuff like that, and it's probably not really like his thing, and he donates all his money to charity, but I really wish he would do a little bit more like meet and greet with the fans, if you know what I'm saying.
I think everybody does, man. I really do. I think everybody deep down wants him to.
And here's the thing, guys. I mean, I'm just throwing it out here. This is a platform, social media, podcast. This show's essentially ending. Let's make a movement. Let's get, whether it's a meet and greet or whether it's whatever. You get enough voices talking. I mean, I don't see how the show can end in Georgia and everybody not come back one last time to something or to do something. Because these guys actually, and people make fun of me when I say this, or they think I just say this now because I do security with them, but these guys cared about us as fans. Like, they didn't have to stop. They were on their own. And it was not even about the conventions. It was on their own time. And then when we started not stopping because we were told not to, they were like, hey, we'd see them out in public. Hey, we miss you. Where you guys been? Or how come nobody's coming out anymore? So, I think, Anthony, you brought up a good subject here. I think we start a movement, and let's try to get Andy Lincoln back to Georgia. Hopefully, I don't know if you said what we heard earlier, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Of course, I don't want to keep you on the phone all night if you're busy, but, what do you think about Andy coming back to the show? That's kind of in the rumor mill. And, so if he comes back down to Georgia, Philadelphia, Georgia, not too far away, we can get you down there.
Well,
not to mention, let me say one thing. See that little thing?
Andy is possibly coming back to the show. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Well, last I heard, I thought the Rick movie was still in the play. That's going to happen. But I mean, I can't imagine Andy not coming back to the show, at least for the final episode, whenever when the series finally comes to an end.
I agree with that.
But
So,
an honest thought though, and as much as I still love the show, like like it's definitely I'm not as excited as I used to be, like back in like season 4, 5, or 6 when we had like Abraham and we had like the governor and we had like Andrea or like Shane or any of them. The show's definitely different ever since Carl died and since Rick left for sure. And I still like the show and I will watch it till the end. But it just really, all truthfully, I am kind of concerned a little bit for this Walking Dead movie because it's been almost 2 or 3 years since Rick's been off the show, and they've only hinted like small little hints from Gimple that I know that Gimple usually doesn't really talk much about stuff like that, but they give like little hints in the show or like the spinoff of Fear, but they don't even have a release date, not even a trailer. It's just a teaser trailer. It's all they have right now, and it's almost 3 years later, not even shot. You know what I mean? So it's just the only thing that I hope it succeeds, but I just really hope that it's gonna have interest whenever it finally comes out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've never thought about it that way. That's a good point. I mean, it's.
Do you think COVID is going to kill that movie though? Do you think it'll kill it? Because at this point, it's hard to film, and then even they're starting to film here in a minute, but there's lots of things filming in Georgia now, but it might have postponed it so much it might have killed that movie.
Well, I mean, it's
and honestly, it really could. It really could kill the movie. And the other controversy that I guess is going around is because originally Gimple was talking about it was going to be an AMC movie, if you recall, like when Rick first departed off the show and went off into the helicopter. And then after that, when we get that teaser saying Rick Grimes returns only in theaters. Next thing you know, it's going to be in theaters, and Sky Mountain's teaming up with Universal, and then Universal and AMC theaters are having a bit of a fallout right now. So it's one big giant cluster mess, really.
Yeah, it is. I love this.
I have a feeling too that like, and I love Andy as an actor, but my thing is Andy, on the other hand, like I know he wanted to take a break from the show, but I think he also wanted to spend time with family, but work on other things. But at the same time, I feel like Andy's kind of tired of playing Rick Grimes in a way, like as much as he loves the show. But I feel like that's why they didn't kill him off, just in case if things didn't work out, what other acting he was doing like didn't really hit, he could have some way to come back to the show that he was guaranteed to have like a good hit on. Hopefully, with the ratings still being good.
I mean, yeah, that's a very good possibility. Very good. I've heard something similar to that, but yeah, I'm like you, man. I just wanted to close out the best way that it can, and I agree with you fully, Anthony. It's lost some of the. I mean, I'm a diehard fan, and but it's lost something after Carl and after Andy. I mean, when you don't see Rick Grimes on, I mean, that's the whole basis of the beginning was, Rick Grimes and his family.
Sure.
So.
And the other thing too is that like, and it's still leaving people up in the air. Is like, like now that Michonne's off the show, like, are they going to do like a spinoff of like where Michonne's going, like with that group that she was with, that she's going off to find Rick? I mean, or is Jada's going to come back and explain something in the meantime? But like, and with the show ending and everything, it kind of like ruins the ending a little bit because they're talking about how they're going to do a Daryl and a Carol spinoff that's taking place after the series, so that's confirming that those two live. I mean, obviously, it's pretty much guaranteed that if Daryl were to die, he's pretty much going to be the last man standing because as he makes AMC. That I honestly feel like he's the main reason why the show is still going on. And I love the show, but I'm just being realistic. I'm not trying to be like negative or talk bad about the show, but I feel like the show would have been over once Rick left if Daryl was gone.
Yeah, and just to kind of throw you a curveball there, because I agree fully with everything you say. Jimmy and I can tell you, it seems like you're dedicated into it like we are. We've saw, AMC, the writers, producers, throw us some smoke and mirrors per se, or have a magic trick here when the real magic trick's happening on this hand. I mean, we could be talking about an ending of the show, and next thing you know, it's not. And it could be a whole different path that they lead us down because they've done that before. I don't think they're doing that here, but so they love to confuse you. That's the thing. When the whole spoiling dead thing came in, and I like spoilers, but I didn't like spoilers, and I wanted people to have privacy. But when the whole spoiling dead thing come in, basically the show then started trying to trick you, and they had to do that. So I'm sitting here in the back of my mind thinking, is this a trick? Is it really going to be? Or is when this next episode comes, boom, is here Rick Grimes again, and we're going to go another 10 years? I mean, I have hope.
Well, right. And the other thing, too, about when it comes back to the Rick Grimes movies is when they were originally talking about a trilogy of 3. Now, if we're talking almost 3 years from now, like from almost 3 years later after Rick's been off the show, and we haven't even had a trailer or a release date or they even started filming yet. So if they're still planning to do 3 separate movies, how the hell do they plan, are they going to do that within the next 15 years? Because if they're going to do 15 years of it, and it's going to take maybe that long for 3 movies, I can almost guarantee it's not going to have a lot of interest. So at the moment, what it seems like that they're doing is they're only focusing on possibly just making this one movie, and then maybe having Rick be back on to the show by the finale or the series finale. Or maybe how it would work is that Rick comes back to the show during the finale if the movie's not out at the time. And then the movie comes out, and it's all right, this will explain where Rick's been and why he hasn't returned in 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, I mean, man, can you imagine this, Anthony? Can you imagine back when they did the cliffhanger, when Negan killed Abraham and Glenn, back they did that cliffhanger for the whole off season. Can you imagine what they would do? People are going to send me hate mail. I already feel this, but can you imagine what would happen if they did all these 22 or 24 episodes and it didn't end, and then the movie was the ending, and you had the cliffhanger until that was done? I mean, that's another possibility.
I cannot imagine how bad that would of a reputation that would be, honestly. And
I'd have to have therapy
the show
too.
definitely has a lot of high developed characters and stuff, but some of them now I feel that in the show that some of the characters are not even being used to their comic counterpart or their story arc. For example, as everyone knows that reads the comics, that Daryl does not exist in the comics, and Abraham was actually pretty much Rick's right-hand man for a little bit in the comic, but in the show they didn't really use him to his full potential. He was kind of there just to be the comic relief with the whole the cheesy one-liners like mother dick or bitch nuts or stuff like that and stuff like that. So not that it wasn't funny, but that's literally all that he was there for, really.
And there hasn't been somebody like that since.
Yeah,
Besides,
I mean, they kind of have Negan right now. Negan's that, but other than that, yeah, they haven't really had a muscle force of the show really right now. I mean, I know that they're giving Aaron Rick's comic story because Aaron has the severed arm now when it's supposed to be Rick that had the severed arm, but I just feel that with the mixture of things, everything's different. And then now that Henry's gone, which he took Carl's comic arc. Which, speaking of Carl, I think that really was a bad mistake for the show to kill off Carl.
Oh yeah, I do.
The show would still. I feel the ratings would definitely be a lot better for the show if they had Carl still on the show. And Chandler Riggs still wanted to be a part of it. I remember.
Yeah,
you're right. Yeah, that's and I've had the privilege to work with Chandler and his dad William directly, and great people. And of course, I told him how much we missed him, and they missed it. They missed the show. But yeah, I agree with you. I think if he was back, but I still hold out hope. I got this quirky hope, but nobody saw Chandler. Nobody saw Chandler. What if he's out here roaming around somewhere? I mean, we know what we think happened and what we heard, but we could have a half zombie, half human Chandler come back, and then boom, Rick's back. So I
have a one-eyed walker named Jose.
Well, let me guys ask you this: when you said that you worked security with them, were you working security at the conventions like Walker Stalker, or were you working at if they were just like doing press somewhere, or if they were just walking around in public. Like, what exact security were you doing with them?
Got you. Easy answer for that is E, all the above. I did it at the, I was armed transport and private transport with Walker Stalker. We've worked the private events, the private where the conventions like the camp, which I'm head of security of it right now, still currently. And then you've got some of the private things that the actors did, little meet and greets, or even going out into town. So I've got the privilege to kind of be around them in a multitude of levels.
Well, that's awesome that you guys are doing that. And like I said, I just started tuning into you guys just not too long ago, maybe about a month or so ago, and you guys definitely are really good. And I think you need a lot more recognition for sure, especially with this Walking Dead fan base. But the last thing I guess I'll leave off on for a brief topic is that I feel like that the reputation of the show is a bit damaged because of the fact of the tragedy of Walker Stalker's downfall. I think that a lot of people now, because it got that big, like when they think Walking Dead, they heard the name Walker Stalker, and as we all know, that really kind of hurt the reputation, I feel like, of the show. And a lot of the actors want nothing to do with it now because of the owner.
I understand that, but this is what I will say to that, okay? Because I worked with James for a while. I actually did. Keep in mind that was a separate thing altogether from the show. He might have ran that convention.
Sure.
Yeah. So the next guy that's got this pandemic, that he can make that a better opportunity to kind of redeem this whole thing, okay? It's just like Dragon Con that we have in Atlanta. It's just like Days of the Dead. It's a convention. At the end of the day, was James a bad person? You can decide that. I'm not going to say. I used to say what I felt, and people jumped me for it. So I'm not going to say that anymore. What I'm going to say to you is, yeah. What I'm going to say to you is, I've known James before the convention. He's always been the same. So that's all I'm going to say. He's not changed. So as for people that Cindy Sumner's actually writing us in the comments, you see what she's writing down there?
No, I'll check it out.
Yeah. Cindy is actually one of the tour guides down here. I'm a tour guide for Harrelson. She's a tour guide in Sonoya. But anyway, I got off subject. James, he did, man. There was times that I've seen stuff that happened to that convention that shouldn't have never happened. That's why I left it. I used to work there for about 2 years, and I quit. And I didn't work for him anymore. I'm sorry if he did take advantage of people, but I don't want that to get mixed in with the show per se.
Well, then I got to agree, though. I got to agree with Anthony there, and I'm like you. I don't want it in there any more than the next person. But, Anthony, both of you gentlemen are right there. And Anthony's good point is that, it's something that I think the show was so and Anthony, you correct me if I'm wrong here. I think the show was so iconic, and everything just hit so quick. Nobody expected the little zombie show that you were watching on Halloween night of all times, to make it this far, to have people move in from out of state to Georgia, to have the convention that got as big as it did, as quick as it did. And nobody expected all that success, and then just boom, that one part of it just bad taste, and it is a bad taste. It's a bad taste in a lot of folks' mouths. But I think that's kind of what you're saying there, and I agree with that part of it. I wish we had a rewind button to go back, but hopefully, and Jimmy, in agreeing with your part of it, I hope, and I know Oscar's doing a great job at the camp. And Anthony, listen, we would love. If you ever get a chance to come down to the camp, I want you to find me. And we're doing an event here October 22nd and 3rd, and we'll have another one this coming summer. A lot of great opportunity to meet, some of the cast. And please look me up if you do that. Have me on Facebook, and I'd like you to be.
I've never actually gotten around to going to Camp Merrimack or any of the camps that you have going on down there, but I have visited Sonoy once when I've only been in Atlanta once, and the first time I did was during Atlanta Walker Stalker 18. And, I toured around Sonoy, walked around Sonoy, did like the tour and all the outside Alexandria, all those things. Woodbury Shop, Nick and Norman. But no, if I'm definitely down in Atlanta, or if I'm able to get down there, once the COVID stuff is over, I would be absolutely more than welcome to check out the camp. I would love, and the thing I love about the camp that I picked up on is there's definitely some actors that are there that have like more of a, like a fan base than others. Like some of them are possibly like just every now and then like guest characters, like or guest appearances, or some of them might even be like Walker extras. And the camp is a really good way, in my opinion, to get more recognition to the extras and even to like the walkers or people that play whispers or or even the ones that like who's one I could think of, like Gregory, or like some of the more minor characters. And I think that's a great way to get more recognition to them because they definitely deserve it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you there, and and when and it calls me, even from a security perspective, you want to know who you work with, and then when I started researching, like Pollyanna McIntosh, who plays Jadis, I started researching her, and I was like, I had no clue she had done everything she'd done, and she just put out her own movie recently. She is a phenomenal person, and in the film industry has just absolutely been a lot of stuff. And I started researching all these other folks, and it gives you an opportunity to spend more time with the cast that's there, and it causes you to want to kind of look into their life because you're getting that personal connection and to see what they're into. And it does give that feature, Anthony. It gives you motivation to kind of see who they are and what they're about. And but yeah, it's a cool experience, guys. And listen, I would love to have you there. Please do try to come down if you can. If you can make it in October, we get the summer days. I'd love to see you down there because you're full of all kinds of knowledge, and I love talking to you. I want to keep continuing our conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a great experience calling in. I could talk about Walking Dead for a long time, honestly. I really could. But no, if I'm definitely down there, I will be sure to look into it for you. Absolutely.
Absolutely, brother. We'll take care of you. And but thank you for calling in, and thank you for the comments on the podcast. That means the world to us. We're Jimmy and I. This is something we're doing out of love. We don't care if we ever make $1 or if we have, as long as we got one fan that wants to listen to us, because this is something that's sentimental meaning. So thank you for the positive words. We really appreciate you. And thank you for the time you gave us tonight.
Absolutely. You'll definitely not be the end of me that you'll hear.
Awesome. I love hearing it. I love it.
Have a good night, buddy.
All right. Have a good night, guys.
You too, brother. Good night. Wow. Phenomenal guy. I like him.
I do too.
I like him. I like that guy. Anthony, come see us. I know you just hung up. We miss you already. Come see us. Do we have somebody else on the phone, Jimmy? Was you?
I know. I'm saying it right here. Cindy Sumner, call me because you're talking like crazy. You need to call.
Cindy's got time to message. She's got time to call in.
Exactly.
So I'll try to close out my little thing there before we do get another caller. But and to tie back into what Anthony said, if that's okay, Jimmy, if you want me to.
You're fine, buddy. Keep going.
What like Anthony was saying, you meet people and you have these experiences, but Georgia I kept meeting people, I kept making friends, and when you get told that you've got X amount of time to live or that you could die at any time, you basically you start looking at life a little differently. And when Georgia became that place of peace, and when Georgia became that escape for me, and I made friends like Jimmy, and gosh, I don't even know all the names: Ren, Emily, Jennifer, Melissa. I can go on, Lisa. I can go on and on and on. Oscar, just everybody. It's like now I want to come back because I want to see these people, and I want to go see these new locations and blah blah blah. But when that happened, it gave me a purpose, and it felt like that. As long as I come here, I can't die. I can't pass away. I can't because I got to go back next season. I got to come back to Georgia and see Jimmy. I got to come back and do this. But do you want to tell you do you want to tell them the what I don't say weird part in a bad way? You want me to tell them about the waterfall scene? You want to tell them that real quick?
You can tell them whatever you want to tell them, buddy.
All right. Keep in mind, doctors are it with me. And they're like, listen, we have no idea where this brain condition comes from. We don't know a lot about it. We don't know there's not a cure for it. We can prolong it. We think with this surgery, you're going to have this swelling, and basically it leads to an aneurysm is what it leads to. And so, they're doing all these tests on me for a few years, right? And they're telling me, yeah, your brain's scarring here and there. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, during one of the Georgia trips, I basically, we decided to take a quick trip down and see, Jimmy, give me the full name of it so I don't mess it up.
Elder's Mill.
Elder's Mill, thank you. I keep on wanting to put Esco in there, but that's where you work. But anyway, Elder's Mill. And I've been there before as a fan, and had got the chance to, to call the owner and talk to him and leave a check to go in and look at the property. He wasn't there. But on this trip, I got the chance to go in, and I got to meet him and his wife. And I went with a good buddy of mine, Chris, and our other great friend, Melissa. And we go there, and this guy out of the blue just kind of, starts talking to me. And basically, we get into the conversation about me being sick, and he starts saying, yeah, I can kind of tell, And I tell him what's going on, and don't get into a lot of details. And, he was telling me about, the ground there at Elder's Mill that, way before The Walking Dead, way before Lawless, the Lawless houses on that property, way before all of that, this ground was healing ground. And, he asked if he could pray with me. And I told him, well, sure. I never told this gentleman, never told him what was wrong with me. And he basically stated it verbatim. Now, so here's what's weird, guys. So people say, I started this little thing called Learning How to Live While Walking with the Dead, and I'm collecting interviews from people about what the show's done for them. So keep in mind, for several years until I visited this location again, I continually had scarring and damage that was because of this. I meet this gentleman and his wife, and he prays with me on this ground at the Walking Dead location. A year later, I have to go do security and gang patrol in Texas after a hurricane, and I get infected with the Harvey virus, right? And the doctor comes in. He's like, "Well, what's all this scarring and stuff that you had on your brain? What's all that from?" And he's like, "Well, I know. I've got your medical records." He's like, "Hey, the good news is," he's like, "you haven't had any more damage." I said, "Really?" Because I'll be the first one to admit I didn't take it as serious as I did, because I prayed about it. I was like, hey, I'm living life. I'm not going to sit and worry about dying, because you can't die if you never lived. The doctor says, well, I've looked at the records here, and basically what you've got now and what you had back then, there's no new scarring. So ever since I went to that location and met this gentleman, I'm a firm believer that moment, that conversation, divine intervention, I've not gotten any sicker since then. And that's the beautiful part about the story. And it's there's a longer version of it that I'll tell some of you guys privately if you want to hear it. But Georgia to me has been the place to come, and it's protected me, and that's why I'm so privileged to come down and protect the cast and you guys as fans. And I love it, and I appreciate it, and hopefully we'll keep coming back and it doesn't end. Maybe it's the new beginning, like they're talking about. Maybe maybe we'll love all these spinoffs as much. But thank you for letting me share that, Jimmy. I hope I did good.
No problem. Can you hear me? We're having a little bit of technical difficulties right now.
I can hear you fine. Yes, sir.
Okay. No problem. Just my camera went away. It's no big deal. Let me ask you a question. When I took you out that first night and you was able to meet the cast the way you did, like you met like more people than and the first time you went than anybody I know. Did you think it was like that every time you're gonna go?
Man, you listen. The one thing I love about you, and I'm not just boosting you up here because we're on a podcast and Facebook Live and Insta Tweet, Faceagram, or whatever we're on. You made it fun, and you told me up front. You said, "Now listen, I can't promise you anything. I do this. I love this. It's about meeting people. I've got a few things here we'd like to get autographed for memorabilia's sake, but I can't promise you anything." And then boom, that happened. Like I went out there with the mentality of, hey, if I see somebody, I'm going to be okay. It don't matter who it is. But yeah, that particular day, gosh, we met Tara and Glenn and Rick and who else?
I think I think you met Maggie, Andy, Norman. I mean, you met a lot of people. I mean, you did. I don't remember who all you met, but
Indiana, was there, but I did. I'm not going to lie. I was sitting there and I was looking because keep in mind we were just becoming friends at that point. Even though you waited a year to call me, and I got to miss the thing at the school, which we talked about last time, and I'm going to go ahead and throw into this show. But anyway, it took Jimmy a year to call me after you first met me. Bless his heart. But I love him for it now. But and in all fairness, though, I didn't tell him at the time that I was as sick as I was either, or he'd have called much sooner because he loves me. But no, I thought it was like that. I was like, this guy's crazy. This is awesome. All these folks are coming out, and then and then the next time, I don't think we saw anybody the next day. I think they waved at us. But I mean, yeah, man, we've had what, full weekends of 16-hour days sitting in the sun and mosquitoes and just trying to get somebody to wave at us from the fans' perspective. But I was hoping it was like that. So I don't know if I answered your question or not. I think I kind of did, but I was hoping it would be like that every time.
yeah, I know a lot of people that come down and they come down at one time and they didn't get nobody and they're pretty devastated. And I didn't like that. Like, people thought that I didn't want people to meet people. The truth was, I enjoyed the new people. I used to bring them out from the tour all the time. And Dustin's a prime example from that. I used to just bring people. I think Brett Halminski, I think he's one of them I took with me one day. And I just kept bringing new people out. And I like that. I like new people coming out. It was a lot of fun to me.
Yeah. And I'll pick up that, Jimmy, and you respond to Cindy there. She was asking a question. But no, I mean, it's been a great experience overall. I mean, it kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier. It become as much to me as hanging out with you guys as it was. I got to the point I didn't care if I met anybody or not. Like I said, you start working with them and stuff. It's like they become your friends and family, and you love and care for them. But it was as much about hanging out with you guys. It was plenty of. I finally did get to the phase of, I don't care if somebody comes out or not, because I'm going to see Jimmy, or and we're going to do this and have a good time. But yeah, I mean, you did kind of set the bar really high that first trip. I mean, we're talking about first trip, first day. Jimmy's like, 15 minutes. Jimmy's like, yeah, man, now listen, don't get your hopes up like I told you. Now, you got your chair with you? I'm like, yeah, man, I got my chair. Okay, well, you sit here, and man, I can't promise you nothing. 15 minutes later, Glenn's walking out. Hugging everybody, signing autographs. And 10 minutes later, Tara comes out. I'm like, this guy Colin, has he ever been here? I think I even asked somebody. I was like, has this guy really been here? Because he's telling me this. But yeah, I mean, you set the bar kind of high. I wish we could just have one more day like that. Awesome.
I think the last big day we had was when they filmed. I don't know if you remember when Sasha was going through her turmoil, and she pushed Abraham, and he almost got bit by the walker at the bridge. When they wrapped that episode that day, we actually went over there to one of the churches they had set base camp up at, and I think Vicki Jennings was with us and a couple other people. But I think that was the last big day, because I think Spoon the Dead didn't know where the base camp was that day or something, and because we didn't post it, they come out and say, hey guys, because you didn't post it, we're gonna come out and thank y'all. And I was like, okay, cool. We didn't know that Andy and Stephen Yoon and all those are going to come out that day and actually stop for us. And it was cool because we got Stephen Yoon that day. We got Andy Lincoln, Lauren Cohan, and Norman Reedus that in one day. Yeah. And just because we didn't post where they were. And, doing a little stuff like that went a long way with them. I mean, that's what they wanted. They wanted their kind of low-key stuff. And a lot of people didn't understand how I would get people, and they'd get upset at me. But the truth was, I mean, I would just go where nobody was. I'd go down the block and to the left and down the street and at the stop sign. And this is where I was.
Yeah, and I think I shared this in the first podcast. I would be standing there with you, and all of a sudden I look around and Jimmy's gone. I'm looking for Jimmy. He's nowhere to be found. And I walk up the street and Jimmy's down there in a bush, He got his head down there like this. Another reason I saw it was Jimmy, because I saw his Sharpie and his poster tube sticking up out of the bush. Oh, there's Jimmy. He's in the bush over there. What are you doing, Jimmy? one of them's got to stop at this stop sign. I know it. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'll go on over here. Then I don't want to mess up your flow you got going there. But man, you were good at it. I mean, man, there was people, man, they'd get mad because you'd venture off and you'd come back, and I could tell the look on your face, man. I could tell the moment you would come walking down through there, you know. So, but yeah, no, it's good times. And like I said, guys, I encourage you to come down and try to have some of those experiences with me and Jimmy. And you know, that's the thing. You know, Jimmy and I's been talking to, and I'm not trying to like this just came to mind. I'm not trying to pop this off or anything or whatever. But Jimmy and I's been talking about trying to schedule, you know, with some of you guys that want to come down and do tours and things like that. Like I said, you've got Water Tower, you've got Harrelson, you got the camp, got all kinds of things coming up. But you know, we're happy. You know, of course I have to travel down. It's about 4 hours for me, but you know, I would love to meet some of you guys down there. I'd love to take you and share some of the experiences with you for the first time. Help you dig for bullets and whatever it is that we can do to make your trip more experiencing, because you know, it's going to be like I said, it's shortcoming. So if you guys want to do that, please feel free to reach out to us, and you know, we'll try to do what we can.
Sorry, but
exciting.
Okay. I hate to wrap it up. We're having a lot of technical difficulties right now. If y'all want to, next week, same time, same place, come back and see us. Mr. Baker, you going to join us next week?
Yeah, as long as I'm not kidnapped, you know, working, and I've got internet signal, I will be there with bells on. And sorry, guys, a couple of y'all reached out to me. I had work obligations and could not get free, and my apologies. But I heard you done a great job without me, so, you know.
I had Kevin to work off of. Kevin's a pretty good guy, and everybody knows Kevin.
Good legend. Kevin,
yep.
As long as I live up to the fourth of Kevin one day, I'll be happy.
Yeah, Kevin is a legend. Retired Marine, so I can say more. Purple Heart, boom. Kevin is the man. All right, y'all, we love y'all. Come back and see us next week. Cindy Sumner, call us at some point. We love you anyway for not calling. Y'all have a good night.
We had technical difficulties. I mean, you know.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, we love you guys. Thank you so much. Same time, same place next week.